In this video, we will be working with compound statements and connectives. Our goal is to express compound statements in symbolic form and symbolic expressions in English. And we will also use the dominance of connectives. So we are going to introduce a few new symbols to represent some connecting words or phrases. The first symbol we learned in our last lesson, that's a negation. So when we put that little squiggle sign in front of a statement, it changes its truth value from either true to false or false to true. And remember, we read squiggly P as not P. So for example, if P represents the statement, it is sunny, not P would be, it is not sunny. Our next symbol that we're going to introduce is this, it looks like a capital A without the line. That's a conjunction and it represents the word and. So if we put that symbol in between P and Q, P and Q would be it is sunny and I am happy. The next one, disjunction, is like a capital V. It represents the word or. So P or Q would be it is sunny, that was P, or I am happy. The next one, which we call conditional, represents the phrase if then. But this one's a little tricky because if goes at the beginning and then goes in the middle where the arrow shows up. So P arrow Q is read if P then Q. We put if at the beginning. It is sunny was P. Then goes where the arrow appears. I am happy. And our last one, the double arrow, is called biconditional. It represents if and only if. So P, if and only if Q, we would start with it is sunny, that's P. If and only if goes in the middle. I am happy is Q. And the if and only if really means the conditional in both directions. So it is sunny if and only if I am happy means both if it is sunny, then I am happy, and if I am happy, then it is sunny. So it takes that conditional but goes in both directions. In this example, we are going to take the simple statements that are provided. P represents the temperature outside is freezing, Q, the heater is working, and R, the house is cold. And we're going to take some compound statements and write them in symbolic form. The first one says, the temperature outside is freezing and the house is cold. The temperature outside is freezing is P. For and, we use that symbol that looks like a capital A without the line in the middle. The house is cold is R. So this one would be P and R. The next one, the temperature outside is not freezing or the heater is working. The temperature outside is not freezing is not P. And the heater is working is Q. So we get not P, the symbol for or is like a capital V, and the heater is working was Q. The next one, if the heater is not working, then the house is cold. So remember with an if then, if goes at the beginning, and where we have the word then is where we have the single arrow. The heater is not working is not Q. The house is cold is R. So this one would be if not Q, then R. And the last one, the house is cold if and only if the heater is not working. The house is cold is R. The heater is not working would be not Q. So R If and only if is the double arrow and not Q. Now we're going to take those same simple statements and we're going to convert a symbolic statement into words using English. So pause the video and try these on your own. Okay, hopefully you had a chance to do that. For the first one, Q and not R. Q was the heater is working, and was that symbol. The house is not cold is not R. So the heater is working and the house is not cold would be our answer. The next one, if not R, then not P, would be, well, we have to put if at the beginning of the sentence. The house is not cold would be not R. Then goes where we have the single arrow. The temperature outside is not freezing would be not P. So if the house is not cold, then the temperature outside is not freezing would be our answer. Now we're going to add grouping symbols or parentheses to our symbolic statements, which indicate which statements are grouped together. If you ever have to negate a statement that's in parentheses, it negates the entire statement. And in this example right here, we have a negation in front of a set of parentheses. We can't distribute that negation to each simple statement. We leave it in the front, and the way we write this in English is we just put the words "it's not true that" in front. So whenever you have a negation and then a set of parentheses, you're just going to start off with "it's not true that," and then you put whatever was inside parentheses. Or you could say "it's not the case that." So in this example, part A, we would say "it's not true that," we just throw that in the front, and then P was "I like my teacher," and was that symbol, "I go to class," was Q. So the "it's not true that" is the squiggly in front of the parentheses. For the next one, we're actually negating P. So we're going to change P to "I do not like my teacher." So this next one would be "I do not like my teacher," that's not P, and "I go to class." In English, we use commas to indicate groupings. When we translate symbolic statements into English, the simple statements in parentheses appear on the same side of the comma. So when I translate this example to symbols, I'm going to have to use parentheses on either side of the comma. So I would put parentheses, if my comma is right here, there's my comma, I'm going to need to put parentheses around this first part, and I would also put parentheses around the second part. But I actually only need parentheses if I have a compound statement, meaning there's more than one simple statement on one side or the other. My first side does have two statements and the second side only has one, so I'm not actually going to need the second set of parentheses. Let me explain what I mean. So let's read this statement. If I do not like my teacher or I do not go to class, then I do not earn an A. And remember, P, Q, and R were I like my teacher, I go to class, I earn an A. So to translate this to symbols, since we have an if, then, we know we're going to have that single arrow right here. This first part is I do not like my teacher. That's not P. Or is like that V symbol. I do not go to class. That's not Q. That is a compound statement because it has more than one statement. So it will need parentheses to group it together. And then I do not earn an A is not are. Since that's just one statement, I don't actually need those parentheses. So my final answer is going to be parenthesis, not P, our or symbol, not Q, close my parenthesis, and then my single arrow, not R. And I needed the parentheses around that first part because of the comma. I have a comma right here, and we put parentheses before and after the comma. Now, if you don't have a comma, the connectives that we use actually have an order from least dominant to most dominant. The negation is our weakest connective. So our weakest connective is going to be the negation. The next strongest would be our conjunction and disjunction, and they're on the same level. Then comes the conditional, and then the biconditional is our strongest connective. So if you think of the negation as like a wet noodle, it's the weakest, and the strongest, the biconditional, kind of looks like a barbell, so that's going to be the strongest. Let's look at an example. If a symbolic statement appears without parentheses, statements before and after the most dominant connectives should be grouped, meaning we're going to use parentheses before and after the most dominant connective. So we have simple statements P, Q, R, and S actually. And we're going to insert parentheses to clarify the meaning of the symbolic statement. Then we're going to write the symbolic statement in words. So in this symbolic statement, we have P and Q, and we've got an if-then, and then R or S. And we need to figure out where to put the parentheses. So we have to decide which of our connectives is most dominant. So between and, if-then, and or, which is the strongest? Well, the conditional is stronger than and or. So our strongest or most dominant connective is going to be if-then. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put parentheses before it and after it. So I group before and after the most dominant connective. Just like with the comma, we grouped before and after a comma, we can also group before and after the most dominant connective. And now we're going to translate this symbolic statement to words. Try pausing the video and doing it on your own, and then we'll do it together. So we have to start this sentence with the word if, and then goes in the middle where the single arrow shows up. So it goes, if the temperature outside is above 85 degrees and we finish studying, then we go to the beach or we go to the pool. And we put a comma by that most dominant connective by then. Parentheses were here. So if the temperature outside is above 85 degrees and we finish studying, comma, then we go to the beach or we go to the pool. The key to this problem is that we put parentheses before and after the most dominant connective. So we identify which one is most dominant, we group before it, we group after it.